Hi, my name is Kais Jeffries, and this is my Transformational Leadership and Development presentation reflecting on how I've grown as a student at NTU. First, I want to let you guys know a little bit about me. I actually started my university journey in 2015, and I did business management and economics as an undergrad student here at NTU. I then, in the past year, have decided to go on to do my MSc in digital marketing. Throughout my time at university, I've been an active member of the Lacrosse Society, conducting roles as president and treasurer, so I was an active member in the committee throughout my time. I've played a high level of sport, both at university, playing for NTU Sport, and also representing England in an international sporting competition at the start of this year. I've coached university sport. I also did an industrial placement year, 2017-2018, where I worked at DHL Supply Chain in Newark, Nottinghamshire, so not too far from Nottingham itself. And I actually graduated with first class honours, so exciting stuff. There were a few things that I really wanted to achieve as a postgraduate student. I wanted to become a much more well-rounded individual and be able to capitalise on different social and working environments that I'm ever put into. I wanted to develop skills that I previously gained across my past 4 years as well. I think it's important to improve and work on the skills that you've already managed to gain. And I wanted to make the most of the different dynamics associated with postgraduate study, so different cultures, different people. And through these things that I wanted to achieve, I set out the following 3 goals. I wanted to improve my teamwork and social skills. I wanted to become more punctual, and I wanted to become a better leader. The first thing which I needed to achieve was identifying my personal strengths and weaknesses, which I thought was extremely important. To do this, I used the competency matrix on PebblePad, which I filled in questions associated to myself and enabled me to identify areas which maybe the ones I was strong at, but also the ones where I was severely lacking and areas which I needed to improve. And it really helped me gain an understanding of myself and the capabilities that I have. I used this then to construct my personal development plan, which I established the basis for my goals throughout the year. I looked at what I wanted to achieve and how I was going to do it. And the following few slides show some of the areas which I scored myself lowest and are therefore things which I need to improve. So here we can see some of the questions in which I scored myself lowest. The first question was, I have created and maintained my professional online presence, and I scored myself 2 out of 5. I think I did this because I really struggle sometimes with keeping my LinkedIn profile up to date. I'm not too good, and it's actually a really good platform for finding jobs, which I've actually discovered in the last few weeks. So I think I really decided at the start of the year that I needed to improve this, and my online presence on LinkedIn was lacking. I then also scored myself 2 out of 5 in terms of my positive and enthusiastic approach to my studies. I think a lot of the time at university, I tend to prioritise my sport and my social life, and therefore I realised that I needed to commit more and have a better, more enthusiastic approach to studying. Here we see some more questions in which I scored myself 2 out of 5. Firstly, I said that I'm not too good at adapting to new situations. I think this is a bit of an issue of mine. I think I've got quite comfortable in my university pattern, having been here for so long. And I therefore think it's important for me to learn to adapt to new situations better. Also, I talked about committing to continuing my personal development and lifelong learning after university. I think that wasn't something I really considered. I didn't consider improving my skills, and it wasn't something I'd thought about was how I was going to continue my professional development after I finished uni. So this was an area I identified that I could improve. Using the competence matrix on PebblePad really allowed me to gain a better understanding of what I was capable of. And the fact that I did this at the start of my university year meant I had a lot of time to improve, especially with me really pushing towards getting a job after university. I realised that I require a much stronger online presence to speak to and communicate with employers. I need to become more positive about my workload, otherwise I'd really start to fall behind, especially when doing a postgraduate level course. And I realised that adapting to new situations is essential to when I'm starting a new job. And committing to my personal development will improve my career opportunities. So I really discovered some areas which I was weak in and I needed to improve throughout the next year. So here we can see my personal development plan that I developed from identifying my strengths and weaknesses. I wanted to work on time management, leadership, motivation, and adapting to new situations. To do this, I decided to attend time management workshops. So one's hosted by the library and in CPD week. Leadership, I wanted to lead more teams, such as working in group work and socially in terms of like lacrosse and leading the team. For my motivation, I wanted to apply for 40 plus jobs. And to adapt to new situations, I wanted to put myself out of my comfort zone by attending multiple PPD workshops and communicating with different people. And as mentioned, I created my personal development plan from identification of my strengths and weaknesses. I then considered the best way to improve these weaknesses alongside identifying areas that I personally thought I wanted to improve. This enabled me to understand what I need to do throughout the year, and from this point I could then begin to start my CPD activities to address these weaknesses. The first of my CPD activities was 5 hours which I claimed through the lacrosse performance squad. I participated in the highest level of university lacrosse in the country throughout the year, which involved 2 weightlifting and 2 training sessions per week, alongside occasional extra runs and sprints and stuff that we had to run sometimes. This was thoroughly enjoyed and dramatically improved my university experience, and it really pushed me in terms of time management, motivation, and leadership. I had a lot more on my plate and a lot more to manage than the average postgraduate student. Training commitments were a lot higher, and it really meant that I had to manage my time, organise myself, and plan my days much more effectively than your average postgraduate student. My next 5 hours come from coaching lacrosse. I coached the second and development programs at university throughout the year, which involve running 2 sessions every Tuesday and every Sunday. This hugely improved my time management and also leadership, as it reduced the time I had available for university work. I had to organise my days much more effectively by planning out my workload, working in my free time, and then also ensuring I still had time to coach. It allowed me to adapt to new situations, as I'd rarely coached before, and I was under a lot more pressure once again than the average postgraduate student. As previously mentioned, I was also the club treasurer for the Lacrosse Society this year, which I've claimed an additional 5 hours for. I oversaw and managed the finances for the Lacrosse Society throughout the academic year, which meant I had to make purchases, order supplies, and manage payments, also chasing up people that paid subs. This further put me out of my comfort zone, and I'd never done anything like this before, and it dramatically improved my motivation, time management, and adaptability, meaning that I further increased the responsibilities that I had as a postgraduate student, and I had to manage my time and an organisation's finances at the same time. During CPD week, I completed the 2-hour LEGO series play workshop. This involved the use of Lego and was designed to gain an understanding of empathy and other people's views, as well as many other real-world applications. I did find this workshop kind of beneficial. It gave me a good understanding of different people and how they may respond to similar cues that I would have. However, compared to the other workshops that I attended, I did not find it as beneficial. I felt some of the time was wasted and there was not as many real-world links as I would have expected. And the reason why I went to this workshop was an attempt to improve my adaptability. During CPD week, I also completed the 5 Pillars of Stress workshop, which was 2 hours long. It involved understanding the causes of stress and how to reduce stress levels by working out exactly where that stress was coming from and identifying it from its core. It helped me gain a better understanding of myself and what caused me to get stressed out in particular situations. And I think it will help me manage unfamiliar situations better and help me remain much more relaxed. Overall, I thought it was a very useful workshop. and I took part in it because I wanted to improve my adaptability and motivation. And as I often find the concept of a heavy workload really stressful, so I was trying to reduce this. Finally, I also took part in the How to Avoid Getting Rejected workshop during CPD week. This was all about applying for jobs, how to avoid them rejecting your application, and to increase your employability as much as possible. As I'm really pushing for a graduate role at the moment, this was an opportunity not to be missed and a session that I knew I had to attend. I thought it was really helpful. It was really good for building my CV. I learned a lot, and it told me what I could say on applications to help further my chances of getting the role. This was really important as one of my goals was to apply for over 40 jobs to try and get a graduate job when I leave university. And I thought this workshop was overall very beneficial and taught me some very useful CV advice. I've loved every minute of my journey at NTU. I've loved meeting new people, which has allowed me to develop professionally and socially. This is all through the process of reflection. As we've seen in this whole presentation, it's not only allowed me to highlight my strengths, but also highlight, work on, and address my weaknesses. Therefore, reflection has enabled me to develop as a person, as being critical of myself helps me identify my weaknesses and work on them in the future. Following concluding university, I'm hoping to pursue a career in digital marketing in London. And as mentioned, the reflection process enabled me to be critical of myself. This allowed me to identify the areas which I need to improve that we've seen throughout this presentation, and this has allowed me to become a more employable and more well-rounded individual, which should hopefully allow me to pursue the career which I desire. As you've seen throughout the presentation, the CPD which I've conducted throughout the year has facilitated this development into me becoming more employable. Following my understanding of the benefits of personal reflection, I feel it's extremely important to continue this reflection throughout my career. And the skill of being critical of myself is extremely important in this process. To do this, I need to create my own personal development plan following university. This will allow me to reflect and criticise on my own practices for the past year and identify the areas which I personally need to improve on as I develop as an individual and follow my career path. Here we can see the continuous learning table which I've created and I plan to use throughout my career. My plan is to fill this out once a year, which will identify the skills I've learned and also be critical and identify the areas which I need to improve. So I will fill it in by date, looking at the skills I've learned, the areas I need to improve, the resources available for me to improve, and the date in which I'm going to review this. I will now answer the 5 follow-up questions. The 2030 global goals are 17 goals set out by the UN in order to achieve sustainable development. Personally, as everyone should be, I'm completely on board with these goals. I'm completely supportive of this movement and hope to see this put into place. However, I think actually implementing these goals may be difficult, as it would take a large community of people around the world to get on board with. As many of the goals seem quite socialist, such as alleviating poverty, reducing hunger, and increasing equality, it would take a lot of high-powered people in highly funded situations to provide large quantities of funding to be able to achieve these goals. I hope to see them put into place, and I'd like to think that things like this can be implemented, but I also think the implementation of these goals would be extremely difficult. The question of how I could make a difference, considering what I've learnt this year and my career aspirations in terms of the UN Global Goals, is an extremely good one. As I wish to pursue a career in digital marketing, I think the best way that I could make a difference is spreading the message. As I said in my previous answer, I think it would be really difficult to get everyone on board and try and get everyone to support the UN Global Goals, which would be essential, but I think the use of digital marketing could spread awareness of what is happening. If people are needed in support, we could use social media advertising and other forms of advertising to inform people of exactly what is happening, how they can make a difference, how their donations or sponsorship or
expertise could be involved in situations, and how each individual person can use their knowledge, their expertise to all come together and all start to make a difference as a communal group. I believe my best demonstration of leadership was this year as a lacrosse coach. I began the university year having not coached a single bit of lacrosse before, had a lot of lacrosse experience, but I'd never coached. And I came into a team with a lot of big personalities, a lot of big characters, which made it very difficult for myself. We started the season with very minimal respect. The team was falling out, no one was listening, and we had very minimal training attendance. However, I decided I wanted to build this up and improve the circumstances because I didn't just want to give in. I individually spoke to each of the players, especially the captains, identified what their problems were, what we could do to improve this, and how the circumstances could be improved. We identified the main issues in the team and what was going to be best for everyone throughout the year. From this, we managed to create the best possible training plan with the most possible training sessions per week and the best structure for the team. And it really sent our season into an upward spiral. We managed to win every single game of our league season and then went on to the cup and managed to win every single game in that too. We became Midlands Trophy champions and finished with an undefeated season. The respect levels dramatically increased and the team was pulled together with huge levels of camaraderie, and we had a great time. There's been multiple occasions in my life of solving problems as a team. However, the one that sticks in my mind most prevalently actually happened really recently. So, obviously everything's going on with COVID-19 and having to be at home. We recently had a module to take part in which involved customer research, and a survey had to be conducted. However, it was also just after the university had closed and we'd all been sent home. So it became an issue, or something we had to address, where a group of people had to conduct a survey. However, we had no direct contact and no direct way of speaking to each other. From this, we created a group chat and had a Zoom call where we discussed exactly what we needed to do and how we were going to do it. We identified who we were going to promote the survey to and how we were going to get it done. We then each went out about on our own ways, contacted students and participants for the survey and got it completed. I think we worked really effectively and well as a team and managed to delegate work to an effective level. I think if we were to do this again, the only thing I would have improved on is starting the work a bit earlier. We were a bit frightened and a bit concerned because of the whole circumstances, and therefore didn't get on the ball as quick as possible and ended up slightly rushed as the deadline was approaching. However, overall, I think we worked really effectively. We pulled together and managed to navigate an extremely difficult problem and an extremely difficult circumstance to provide the best possible outcome. I think there are many characteristics of a successful manager. However, personally, there are three which I do believe to be the most important. First of all is approachability. I feel that no matter what level, who you are, or how you rank in terms of other people, you have to be approachable. As a manager, you're going to have people work under you. You're going to have people that need to speak to you and need help from you to address their problems. And without being approachable, this is impossible. They need to be able to speak to you comfortably and converse whenever they need to. Personally, I feel that I do have this characteristic, as it's something I've been working on, and I hate people thinking that I'm being cold or upset by my actions. Secondly is motivation. I don't think any manager gets in the position that they're in from not being motivated. You have to have an extremely high work ethic and an extremely high level of drive to get to where you need to be and keep people out of your way. I also think that I have, to some degree, this characteristic. It's something I've been working on a lot this year. I've been trying to motivate myself better, increasing my punctuality and increasing my presence in certain situations. Finally, I think the most important characteristic is communication skills. Similar to approachability, you have to be able to talk to people at all different levels. You have to be able to change your dialect depending on who you're speaking to, whether that's an email with an important business customer or having a conversation with someone who's a much more friendly basis and using the correct type of dialect which you should be speaking to these people with in order to communicate most effectively in any business environment.